What's going on, Pats Nation? This is your boy DTN, aka Dow, back with another edition of Patriots Clubhouse. And today we're going to be breaking down the 2026 Patriots opponents, which includes obviously our AFC East rivals, the AFC West, the NFC North, and of course, three other opponents, one of them being an NFC West opponent. And all of these opponents, some of these, the other three are based off of division records. So since the Patriots in 2025 were the number one seed, we're going up against other teams that also finish number one in their respective division. So without further ado, let's take a look at this upcoming schedule for the 2026 New England Patriots. And at the time of recording this, the Patriots are still in the mix. They're still in the playoffs. They're in the dang tournament. They just got their first win against the LA Chargers, and now they're prepared for their next opponent, which is confirmed to be the Houston Texans and their disgusting defense. We will discuss this later in a live stream with my buddies from Patriots Clubhouse with Thomas, Austin, and Andy. But without further ado, let's get this show started. And apologies, guys, if I'm coughing a little bit because it's the flu season, so everybody should stay healthy. Everybody should be bundled up. And if you guys haven't already, please make sure that you smash the like button and that you are subscribed to this channel. It is the best way to help us support the channel and to help us grow as a Patriots community or a football community if you're joining in as an opposing fan base. So welcome to the show. But let's get on with the show. And when we take a look at this schedule right here, you can see that this schedule looks scary. As you can see, we got your usual suspects from the AFC East. You got the AFC West, the NFC North, one opponent from the NFC West, and then two opponents from the AFC, both being the number one seed in their respective divisions, North and South. So let's break it down here. And when you take a look at the schedule, last year we had 9 home games. This year, this upcoming season, we have 9 away games, 8 being at home. And there's a chance that the Patriots could be playing overseas in one of their games. And there's a huge chance that the New England Patriots might be playing in prime time based off of the schedule that we're given. Excuse me. So when you look at the schedule, look at all of these away games. So to differentiate what away and home looks like, so the red is the away, the blue is the home. When you look at the away teams, it looks disgusting when you think about it because some of the notable opponents in the away column are the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions, the Seahawks, and the Chicago Bears. And then when you look at the home, notable being the Green Bay Packers, the Denver Broncos, the Minnesota Vikings. A lot is in stake for us. And for many years that the Patriots had the most difficult schedules, and the NFL decided to give us the easiest schedule. I wouldn't consider it an easy schedule considering that how we defeated our opponents has been impressive. But what's more important is that when you look at the schedule, this is the schedule where the Patriots need to prove that they are worthy competitors, that they are still in the talks per the media. I hope the schedule allegations have been canceled, have been ignored, because knowing Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel has been dealt with difficult schedules in the past. For example, 2021, when he was dealt, per Andy on the previous show, that he had one of the most difficult schedules in his entire career. Back in 2021 with the Tennessee Titans, he has dealt with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the LA Rams. At the time, the Arizona Cardinals were good, and the San Francisco 49ers. They were that disgusting. And now we are dealt with this schedule. So, excuse me. So I'm hoping that this upcoming season, whatever assets we add and whatever free agents we bring in and whatever drafts that we draft, this is going to be something interesting. We're going to find out if Drake May can continue to develop to become our franchise quarterback. He has been doing well as our franchise quarterback, but like Thomas said, you can't call him a franchise quarterback yet, as he needs to continue to show to the world, to the league, why he has that it factor and why he can continue to be our MVP for the New England Patriots. Sorry. So let's get the show started and let's turn over attention to the opponents. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown on the opponents. So starting with the Buffalo Bills. Knowing the Buffalo Bills, they were 5-time reigning division champions until we took over. So from 2020 to 2020, to 2023, 24, I would say, they were by far the best team in the AFC East division. But for some reason, the Buffalo Bills did not look good. I would assume injuries or Josh Allen not being able to take the game to the next level. So I feel like the Buffalo Bills are still going to be scary with Josh Allen. But the question is, if the Buffalo Bills, if they can continue to retain their head coach, Sean McDermott, and be able to continue the reign of dominance, or if they're going to scrap it all and find a new head coach, we're going to find out what the Buffalo Bills are like for 2026. Moving on, we got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, man, they are one of the most dumbest teams. I don't want to call them dumb, but they're one of the most confusing teams ever in the division. They just hired their general manager, who was the assistant general manager for the Green Bay Packers, and now they're in the hunt for finding a new head coach. The problem with the Miami Dolphins is we do not know what they're going to do with Tua and his contract, what they're going to do with their other assets like Tyreek Hill, what they're going to do with Jalen Waddle. We don't know what the head coach wants, but I would assume that they're either going to focus on Quinn Ewers or maybe retain Tua and take it to the next level. But I do not see Tua being the franchise quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. So we're going to find out based off of head coach, based off of the free agency, based off of their draft. We will find out what the 2026 Miami Dolphins are. Moving down are the New York Jets. And unfortunately, the New York Jets, they're like the baby brother of the group. Because for some reason, the New York Jets, they're not that good. They don't have a franchise quarterback. Aaron Glenn's first season as a head coach for the New York Jets was not that impressive. So the question is if they're going to bounce back and if they're going to be that, if they're going to make some improvements with their roster. Find that franchise quarterback, whoever it is, whether it's Fernando Mendoza, whether it's Dante Moore, if he's going to be declaring for the NFL draft, we shall find out. But what I do know is that the Jets need a lot of work on their roster. And knowing the Patriots' history against the New York Jets, we've been doing a great job of dominating. And I want to say for the other two matchups that we didn't discuss, when it comes to the Miami Dolphins, usually the Dolphins have a tougher time going up against us. We usually have a tougher time going up against the Miami Dolphins for no apparent reason. They always play difficult for us. And then when we talk about the Buffalo Bills earlier, we usually make it more competitive. I think that the Buffalo Bills will reignite that rivalry between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. So keep an eye out for that in the future. But let's now shift over to the home opponents for the New England Patriots in 2026. Starting off, we have the Denver Broncos, who dethroned the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West division. Knowing the Denver Broncos, led by Sean Payton and Bo Nix, the only thing that is scary about the Denver Broncos is their defense. Their defense has been impressive among multiple metrics. They have some of their best players like Nick Bonito, they have Zach Gallen, and they have a stud and former Defensive Player of the Year in Patrick Surtain II. The problem with the Denver Broncos, it's not so much of the offense, but also the play calling from Sean Payton. So knowing Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, we got to expose some of Bo Nix's weaknesses. We got to make sure that we lock down on all their weapons, whether it's Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Evan Ingram, whoever it is. And the one thing about the Denver Broncos is that they have by far one of the best offensive lines in the league. So that is something to keep note when we go up against the Denver Broncos at home when we host them. Moving on, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. And knowing the Las Vegas Raiders, I don't know what's been going on these past 3 matchups against the Las Vegas Raiders, but something stupid usually happens against the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, notably, that lunatic lateral from Jacoby Myers, which then get picked off by Chandler Jones. I will never forget that. And then the previous matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, week 1. Granted, you could say that, it should have been an easy win, but based off of like coaching, usually week 1 is usually like a trap, being like, week 1 doesn't dictate how the season goes, and it's usually how the rest of the season goes that could dictate how well we do in the rest of the season. But I'm praying that when we go up against the Las Vegas Raiders, we change that narrative. And knowing the Las Vegas Raiders, they're cleaning up everything. They're going to find a new head coach. They're going to need a franchise quarterback. They got to revamp everything because their offensive line has been horrible. They do have some good weapons in Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. They do have a good defense. But the problem is they don't have a franchise quarterback. Geno Smith did not work with the Las Vegas Raiders. And their offensive line is not good. So if it's Fernando Mendoza, which I think they're slated to get the number 1 pick, if they draft Fernando Mendoza, my goodness, that the offensive line better do a good job of protecting their golden goose, which is going to be their franchise quarterback of the future. Moving on, we got the Green Bay Packers. And the Green Bay Packers, they are an interesting story. Obviously, knowing the Green Bay Packers with Micah Parsons and their defense, their defensive coordinator, Jeff Hadley, who was the former head coach of Boston College, he has done a great job with this defense. But the problem with this Green Bay Packers team is their offense. And Matt LaFleur there are talks that he's going to get an extension to the contract, but the problem is with the Green Bay Packers is that Jordan Love does not usually have that it factor when it comes to the playoffs. He's usually inconsistent. The weapons are not entirely good in a sense. Like, they have Christian Watson, they have Matthew Golden, they got Romeo Doubs, and their 2 tight ends are coming back from an injury, Tucker Kraft and Musgrave. So we're going to find out what the Green Bay Packers look like if they're still a tough team in the NFC North. And by the way, the NFC North division, they're that scary. I'm telling you, do not mess with the NFC North opponents because last season, which was the 2025 regular season, they were the only division to have winning records. All 4 teams with winning records. So it's really important that we know about that. Moving on, we got the Minnesota Vikings. And knowing the Minnesota Vikings is that they just have one of their off seasons. Like, there's going to be talks if Brian Flores is going to get another head coaching gig, but he has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. That defense is really good, especially with Grenard, Van Ginkel, Byron Murphy. They got some good studs on defense. On offense, however, they have been regressing because JJ McCarthy, he's either hot or cold. Justin Jefferson is the main weapon for the Minnesota Vikings. So if you can eliminate Justin Jefferson, you could take care of Hawkinson, Addison, and then if you could stop the run against Aaron Jones, that would be impressive if we do well against the Minnesota Vikings. Moving on, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and oh my gosh, they're like one of the basically the grandpas in the league. We do not know what the Steelers are going to do. We do not know the future of Mike Tomlin. We do not know who the quarterback is going to be because Aaron Rodgers is going to hit free agency. I don't know if he's going to be resigning to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but what I do know is that the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's going to be a lot of questions this coming off season because we do not know which Steelers are going to look like as we head into the 2026 season. So that's going to be a huge question when we go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't know if Mike Tomlin's going to be back. We do not know if Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback this upcoming season. We could see Mason Rudolph or maybe that kid, Will Howard, who was the reigning national champion with the Ohio State Buckeyes. But we will find out who the Pittsburgh Steelers are like. Excuse me. Now let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody knows about the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. And we're going to Arrowhead. But the problem with the Kansas City Chiefs is that Patrick Mahomes is coming off of an ACL tear. And that's going to be scary if you're a Chiefs fan because you do not know which Mahomes is he going to be, pre-injury or post-injury, because that injury will take weeks. And also, we do not know if the Patriots will play the Chiefs in the beginning of the season or the middle of the season or towards the end of the season. It will dictate if we're going to go up against Mahomes or whoever the backup is to Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is slated to return sometime in like week 6 or week 5 of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Chiefs are going to do with Patrick Mahomes and his rehab. So, and also they need a lot of work on their defense because the defense regressed a lot. Like Chris Jones is up in age. They need a safety. Trent McDuffie, I don't know if he's going to get his extension with the Chiefs, but they need a lot of work on defense. Like Nick Bolton, he's a stud. They got the kid, who is it? He was in the 2022 draft class. George Karlaftis. Yeah, that's the guy. They got some studs on defense, but they're getting up in age, so it's about time if they're going to either scrap some of their big names up like Travis Kelce or Chris Jones and replace them with young blood. That's going to be the big question with the Kansas City Chiefs. Moving on, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. And by the way, we just beat the Chargers. They are one of the most peculiar teams because they're either good or they're either bad. They're usually good in the regular season, but they lay eggs in the playoffs. And knowing Justin Herbert, he is not a good playoff quarterback. And I love Jim Harbaugh, but he doesn't have that it factor. I think that if the Chargers want to be dominant, they need probably get a new quarterback or probably get a new offensive coordinator because Greg Roman is not it. That's the problem. And I think that their offensive line, they need a lot of work because Rashawn Slater, they're coming back, but they need to work on their interior offensive line. It's not it. I'm sorry, but the Chargers, they're going to have an offseason at some point, but I do not see them make the playoffs if they're going to continue like this. And it's Jim Harbaugh going to break that cycle of the Chargers hiring and firing coaches during that 3-year period, because it was like that with Anthony Lynn. It was like that with Brandon Staley. Let's see if Jim Harbaugh, is going to break that cycle. Moving on, we got the Chicago Bears, and my gosh, the Chicago Bears have been revamped. Ben Johnson made Caleb Williams look like the former first overall pick back in 2024 out of USC. And I'm telling you, that offensive line, it has been revamped with some veterans like Joe Tootie, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Darnell Wright. They have a lot of studs on that offensive line. They have some great weapons like Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, and then some weapons like DJ Moore, Luther Burton, Roma Dunze, and then obviously the run game with Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. I think that when the Bears hire Ben Johnson to be the head coach, you know that offense looks disgusting. I think that they will continue to be threats of the NFC North. And especially with the defense led by Dennis Allen, they lead in metrics in interceptions. Kevin Byard, if he's going to be resigning with the Chicago Bears, my gosh, keep an eye on that guy. Kevin Byard looked disgusting. Great as a safety for the Chicago Bears. So keep an eye out for the Chicago Bears and see if they're going to continue with that success with Ben Johnson and see if they're still an NFC North threat or potentially going to be Super Bowl champions or NFC championships if they continue to progress like that. I think Ben Johnson has been a huge prize for the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. And Detroit Lions, oh my gosh, that was not it for the Detroit Lions. Due to injuries on so many studs on defense, the defense regressed. Also, the offense regressed. Jared Goff did not look the same. There's a reason why without Ben Johnson, without Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell needs to find coordinators that could help revamp what the Lions used to be. They do have weapons. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Penei Sewell. They have Jameson Williams, They got Jahmyr Gibbs. We do not know if David Montgomery, who is the knuckles for this team, if he's going to get traded. That's going to be the huge question with this offense. Also, the offensive line looks terrible. Like, ever since you lost Ragnow, you lost Zeitler, you have Ratledge, you still have Penei Sewell, but they need a lot of work on the trenches. And if you fix the trenches, I think the Detroit Lions could be back in the game. But their clock is ticking. And then defense. Their defense look lost. They look like a paper mache of itself. Aiden Hutchinson, impressive guy. Jack Campbell, disgusting as a linebacker, but their secondary looks abysmal without Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. And I haven't seen anything impressive from DJ Reed or Terrion Arnold. So let's find out what Dan Campbell's going to be doing with bringing in new coordinators and see if they're going to revamp that Detroit Lions and bring back that grit that they had back in 2023 and 2024. See if they can be back themselves. I'm telling you, the NFC North division, it looks that disgusting. Next, we have the number 1 seed of the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars. In my opinion, it should have been the Houston Texans. I don't know why. Texans regress, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're good. I'm telling you, they're that good. Liam Cohen, I did not think that he would be that good of a coach, but my gosh, he did help Trevor Lawrence to be back to what he was in Clemson, but I don't think it's good enough. They lead the league in interceptions by picking off other quarterbacks. I think that their secondary is that good. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars, they got some studs in Jacoby Myers and that hidden gem in Parker Washington. Oh my gosh. Parker Washington has to be the biggest gem for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars, they do have a future. But I don't know if Travis Hunter is going to be back or be that kid that he once used to be. But Jacksonville Jaguars, they are like a Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know which team they're going to be, but we will find out if the Jacksonville Jaguars we're going up against are that good. That's all you need to know about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And last but not least, and I hope that we go up against this team in the Super Bowl if we make the Super Bowl, but I'm not wishing upon that. And that is the number 1 seed on the NFC West and currently in the NFC Conference, the Seattle Seahawks. The one thing about the Seattle Seahawks I'm scared about is their defense. Mike Macdonald, he is one of the best defensive-minded head coaches. There is a reason why the Baltimore Ravens fans, they are really disappointed that he's off for a head coaching gig in Seattle, but he has done a great job with that defense. And in the offense, we do not know what they're going to be doing with Clint Kubiak if he's going to get a head coaching gig, because what he did with Sam Darnold has been really impressive with the play action. The offensive line has been good, but the biggest weapon for excuse me, the biggest weapon for the Seattle Seahawks is JSN. There is a reason why Ohio State, they're known for their wide receiver factory. It's been a wide receiver factory. I'm telling you. JSN is that good. The run game has been really impressive with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, but I could see that game being a primetime game. Patriots, Seahawks, a rematch from Super Bowl 49. That's going to be electric. But that's going to be it for today's video. I apologize in moments when I was coughing. I'm telling you, I'm not feeling good. The flu has been all over the place, especially during this time, but I'm hoping and praying that I feel better soon enough. So prayers up for me. But if you want to see more content like this, please smash the like button and that you are subscribed to this channel. It is the best way to help us support this channel. And also scan this QR code to join the Patriots Clubhouse Discord. We welcome you as always. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pats.